For okay, for sexual reproduction, how many parents are needed? Two, right? We need a mom and a dad. All right, and what are the male sex cells called? Sperm, very good.
No boys wanted to answer that question, I see.
And the female one? Ovum or egg, yep. And these two things together, they're called gametes. That's what the sex cells are called, gametes. But if we're getting more specific, sperm and egg or ovum. All right, so I bet you guys can give me so many organisms that perform reproduction this way. What's an example? Plants, very good. Another. Humans, very good. Let's hear two more.
Cats.
Sure, cats and fruits. Fruits are a type of plant. Yeah, if you wanted to, they would fall into that category. Yeah?
Strawberries.
Strawberries are fruit. Last time I checked. All right, so each type of reproduction has, actually, okay, I'm going to go on to asexual reproduction, and then we'll talk about the benefits and disadvantages of each. All right, so for asexual reproduction, how many parents do you guys think are needed for this to occur? Just one. Very good. And because there's only one parent, the offspring is going to look identical to the parent. Whereas in sexual reproduction, because there's two parents, we have a mix 50-50 from both. All right, so there are a few different types of asexual reproduction. The first one is budding. And so an example of an organism that does this is yeast. And so this is when the cell will form a bud, and it will continue growing until the bud is completely formed, and then it'll break off. So yeast does this. Yeah, so here's the original cell, and then this bud up here, this extra lump, starts to form. And then the nucleus will divide, and so this nucleus will go to the bud, and it'll break off. So it stays intact until it is fully formed and then breaks off. All right, and so our next type of example is something called fission. And bacteria does this. So this is when the bacteria or the organism that uses fission will divide. And so bacteria are actually able to reproduce very, very, very fast. So they can double. I think it's every 20 minutes. So, and then in 40 minutes there will be 4, and so on and so forth. So within, like 10 hours, there could be like 30,000 different ones. So very, very fast. But the conditions have to be right. So bacteria, when they have the right conditions, they'll be able to reproduce a lot faster. That's why bacteria, it is all around us, but that's not why it's covered. That's not why Earth is covered in bacteria, because not all of the conditions are ideal. All right, and so then another example is something called fragmentation. And so this is when an organism, you're able to split it, and 2 different organisms will form. So do you guys know what organism, or name an organism that's able to do this? Worms. Some worms, not all. but some worms. So I don't know if any of you have ever tried this or done this, but if you cut a worm, it will stay alive and become two worms. What's that?
I pulled one.
You have pulled it?
Yeah. But does like the tail just grow back another tail and then it dies eventually?
I mean, eventually it's gonna die.
But then
Every organism dies.
But then the head just stays alive because it just grows back the tail so it can get a source of food. But the tail parts, they don't get a source of food.
Yes.
Okay, I had to think about what you were saying.
Will it
Yeah.
kill off certain lizards?
Mm-hmm. That is something called regeneration, which is actually the next example.
I'll show fragmentation.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So here is the starfish. So if you break off part of the leg, then eventually it'll grow. So this leg will grow back, and this will grow into an entire new starfish.
Those plants in the back of the room, the one on the left and the one on the right, those regenerate by fragmentation. I can take a piece off, stick it in the ground, and it'll grow another plant. Same thing with the leaves of that one. If I take a leaf off of that one, stick it into the ground, it'll grow another plant. So the one on the right's a jade plant. The one on the left is, I can't remember what kind of ivy plant that is.
So wait, is fragmentation a form of regeneration? Okay.
Yeah.
So then what was this fourth one?
You can use fragmentation on that one. Or regeneration. Yeah.
Okay. So regeneration is very similar. Fragmentation is a type of regeneration. So starfish, having them grow their leg back is that example of regeneration.
And that's the one.
Okay, yeah, there it is. So, Hydra can do this, and then here's the starfish example again. And then this is planarian.
So whoever said that, like, whatever they cut off, it'll grow back, but it's smaller.
Yeah. All right, so.
Can humans regenerate?
No.
No. Even the new
It'd be
skin
cool.
that you grow
Super
back,
cool.
you might even notice it looks slightly different than your original skin because it's newer.
Yeah, that's why baby skin is so much softer than ours, because it's brand new. All right, so there are benefits to each of these, and there's also drawbacks. So let's look at the benefits. In the video for sexual reproduction that we saw up there, who can tell me what one of the benefits would be, Elizabeth?
Like you get like I don't know what they call it. Like you get things from each parent that can help you adapt to different environments.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of a word that starts with a V. That would just variation, very good. So, offspring variation. And we talked about this in our past unit. So, if there's variation among organisms, that will give some of them an advantage and they will be able to survive. And another advantage is there are many gene combinations. So again, this will lead to, I guess, variation. So in the video, it said there's about 20,000 different genes. And so there are, because there's 20,000 different ones, there are endless different combinations that can occur, which is why none of us look exactly the same. All right, so what are the drawbacks to sexual reproduction? Does anyone know? Can anyone think of one?
Turn it off before I catch you.
The
Yeah, Landon.
birds they have to travel.
Exactly. So it's costs some energy, and you have to find your mate. So that can be a struggle for some animals. So have to find a mate. Costs energy, which we said. All right. And I'm thinking of one more thing. You guys might be able to get this. Does anyone have any ideas? I think it said it in the video.
We also have the asexual video.
What's that?
We also have the asexual
Oh,
video.
right. Okay. Any guesses?
Oh. Saved by Mr. Sam.
Okay, folks, I apologize for the interruption. We need the following students
Sit
to
and relax.
report to the multi-purpose rooms of the MAC cafeteria in order to complete some makeup air assessments. In 5th grade, we need Kennedy Burton, Bailey Cole, Ashbel Green, Xander Johnson, Chloe Meyer, Sienna Murphy, Brett Vaught, Eli Wells. 6th grade, we need Braxton Blavin, Zach Rakes, Ethan Schlesinger, Brooklyn Woker. 7th grade, Victoria Woker, Aaron Wyatt, and Audrey Garcia in 8th grade. If you can all please report to the multi-purpose room with your Chromebooks and pencils, that would be greatly appreciated. And we will begin our makeup air assessments. Thank you.
All right, so a drawback, our last drawback for sexual reproduction is, so this may cause mutations. So I'm going to say increase of mutations. So mutations, when a cell mutates, this can be harmful because it can cause certain diseases or conditions that can hurt the organism. All right, we can show the asexual video now.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna watch the brain pop on asexual reproduction now, and then we'll talk about the disadvantages and advantages of that type of reproduction.
I think I can pull it up. Play. There we go.
Can you reach the milk? Thanks. Dear Tim and Moby, how do you tell the difference between male bacteria and female bacteria? From Jeremy. It's not a riddle, Moby. Bacteria don't have males and females. They reproduce asexually, meaning without sex. Okay, have your laugh. Asexual reproduction is pretty common among plants and simple animals. In some plants, like the strawberry, the stem extends away from the parent plant, with child plants growing all along it.
I think there's something going on with the internet.
Yeah, I don't think the internet is working. It's very slow.
Nope, you know why. They're doing testing.
Are you on the stuff?
Probably not. Hang on. I am on the staff one.
Can you reach the milk?
There we go.
Thanks. Dear Tim and Moby, How do you tell the difference between male bacteria and female bacteria? From Jerry. It's not a riddle, Moby. Bacteria don't have males and females. They reproduce asexually, meaning without sex. Okay, have your laugh. Asexual reproduction is pretty common among plants and simple animals. In some plants, like the strawberry, the stem extends away from the parent plant, with child plants growing all along it.
No.
Alright, I keep going on while I try to fix this.
Okay, you're fine. All right. Well, we will get to that when it starts to work.
Aspen and poppy
There we
do
go.
the same thing with their roots, shooting them out in all directions to grow new trees. A single grove of trees like these might all come from one parent. Farmers have asexually reproduced plants for thousands of years by taking
I don't know why
seeds
they're
from
talking.
one and replanting them. However asexual reproduction is done, the children plants are always genetically identical to the parent plant. So they're actually clones. Clones share the same genetic information, so the parent is basically a twin of the offspring. In sexual reproduction, a female egg cell is fertilized by a male sperm cell. Each cell contains a half set of the parent's chromosomes, the structures that contain our genes. When the two cells combine, the genes do too, making a unique new individual.
I think it's brain pop itself.
That could be too.
And all the children getting on at the same time.
But in asexual reproduction, the parent's genes simply replicate, then split in two. The process is similar to cell division in eukaryotes. Those are organisms with nuclei in their cells, like plants and animals. Cell division goes on all the time in your body. It's how you grow. In prokaryotes, single-celled organisms with no nuclei, cell division is reproduction. The entire organism divides through a process called binary fission. Bacteria are prokaryotes that reproduce this way. Some organisms can reproduce asexually by a neat little process called budding. In budding, a child develops as a growth on the parent's body. In some organisms, like the hydra here, the bud falls off and becomes an independent creature. In others, like corals, the buds stay put, just one more clone rooted to the entire colony. And you've probably heard about how a starfish that gets its arm cut off will grow back a new one. That's a process called regeneration, which in certain cases is a form of asexual reproduction. Like, if an injury is severe enough, the animal can regenerate into two or more separate children. Yeah, I don't think that sponge will regenerate. Well, it's made of plastic.
Alright, there we go.
All right. So now let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages to asexual reproduction. All right. So what do you think the benefits would be? I'll give you a hint. They are very similar to, or the opposite of, our disadvantages of sexual. Yes.
It costs no energy.
No energy. Well, yeah. I'll just say less energy. What else?
You don't have to find a mate.
Exactly. What about this one right here? Instead of an increase, what would there be? Decrease. Less chance of mutating. All right. And then what would the disadvantage be? Elizabeth?
has like a disease, something, it's going to carry it to the other.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So, why would it?
There's no variation.
There's no variation. Very good. So, if that organism were at a disadvantage, for example, in the brain pop they showed those fish. So if that fish were to produce asexually and its color was red against a green plant, then it would not be able to camouflage or hide itself as well, and then it would get eaten. So it would not, with less variation, there's a less chance of survival. All right, so looking at the two, I kind of just went over this. I'm going to place an X under the type of reproduction that has genetic variations. So is that sexual or asexual? Which one has genetic variations? Very good. Sexual. And that's easy to see under many organisms, including ourselves, animals, plants, lots of variation. All right, and then I'm going to place an X under the type of reproduction that increases an organism's chance of survival.
Sexual.
Asexual.
Is it? It's
Which one?
This one?
Increases the chances of any environment changes.
Oh, sexual. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Because they are more likely to
More
adapt.
variation. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I wasn't sure because with the increase of mutations, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Should I introduce sex language?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's flip your page over. All right. So this isn't going to be on the test, right?
No.
Okay. This is not going to be on your test, but we're just going to talk about it because I think it's cool.
And it answers a lot of your guys' questions about pregnancy and how boy versus girl and all that.
Yeah, so there are certain traits that are located on our sex chromosomes. We have, how many chromosomes do we have?
46.
46. And so if we have 46 chromosomes and they're each in pairs, how many pairs would there be if we have 46 chromosomes? 23 pairs, right? And so on our 23rd paired chromosome, this determines whether you are male or female. So, sex-linked traits are traits where genes are connected to either the X chromosome or the Y chromosome. So, if you are female, you have, so each person, again, there's pairs, right? So if you are female, using these two, which combination of X and Y do you think females have? Just take a guess. It's okay if you're wrong. X what? XX or XY? XX. So, once we figure out what males have, I'll explain what this means. So, if you are a male, you have
XY.
XY. Very good. All right, so here's how this works. So, females, their sex cells are called what? What are they called? Eggs or ovum. So, each egg is an X chromosome, or X. So, no other combination, they're just X. Males, what's their sex cell called? Sperm. Some sperm are X and some are Y. So, when a sperm meets an egg, the egg is X. So, we have no other possibility. You don't have to write this down, I'm just going to write it down. So, we have our egg, and this is X. Then, sperm will come along, and it's either X or Y. When this X sperm meets with this egg, are we going to get a boy or a girl? A girl. Very good, because it's XX. When this Y sperm meets with this X egg, what do we get? A boy. XY. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
All
who
right.
determines the sex of a child?
The male. Very
So
good.
what happens if they don't? Is that possible?
What do you mean? Wait, say that again.
X and Y.
So how do you get twins?
I'll explain that in a little after I answer Callie's question. Wait, sorry.
So I'm saying like if the X and the Y both go together.
If no, only one sperm. Well, it's only one sperm will reach an egg. Have you ever heard like sperm like race to get to the egg? So like whichever sperm gets to the egg first, that's the one that creates the offspring. So this one will just die off. So it's not possible to have two of them.
Correct.
So then how are twins?
So do you want to know about, well, I'll tell you about the types of twins. So there are fraternal twins, and this is when, so typically each month, a female will release one egg. But sometimes, in rare cases, the female will release more than one egg, so like 2 or 3. This can happen naturally, or if females are taking medication to help them get pregnant, sometimes extra eggs will get released. So say there was 2 eggs here that got released that month, and this sperm came over, then that would give you twins. But yeah, so that's just if that month the female released more than one egg. And so that would give us fraternal twins. So if we got like a boy or a girl or something, we could have girl-girl fraternal twins. They just don't look exactly the same because they have different sperm and egg that created them. However, for identical twins, this is when, so this sperm would fertilize this egg, and then the egg would split in half. So then there is 2 embryos. And that's how, attached isn't the word. What's the word where the egg doesn't, or the embryo doesn't split all the way?
Oh, Siamese or
Siamese, that's what
yeah.
I was thinking of. Siamese twins.
yeah.
So-
they're attached together.
Yeah, have you ever seen, like some twins, they won't like fully split. So, they're like famous twin girls. I don't remember their names.
When they have like
Yeah, but they have like
heads,
2 heads,
and
but
then
like
have
one
the same
body. Or there was Siamese twins, and they were attached at the head, which is really dangerous. And I think they underwent
Conjoined.
surgery.
I couldn't think.
Conjoined.
Yeah,
That's-
conjoined twins.
I don't know why that word was not
I
in my
know.
head.
Wait, so are identical twins always the same?
Yes. So it is not possible to have a boy and a girl identical twins because identical twins look alike, and boys and girls don't look alike.
So they're
So if twins are opposite sexes, they are automatically fraternal twins. Yeah.
What about triplets?
So triplets, you could be identical, so the embryo would split more than once, or you could have 3 eggs released at one time. Like, have you heard of Jen and Kate plus 8?
Yeah.
Where she had the sextuplets? So I'm pretty sure she was on medication. So 6 eggs were released at once, and they all got fertilized. So she had 6 babies all at once.
my God.
Yes, yeah. I forgot about that show.
There's a new one that came out. There's new one. A new family that came out. They have 9.
9?
There's one older one, 2 twins, and then 6 children.
Wow. Okay. So they were like separate pregnancies though, not all 9 at once.
So would they
Still nuts. Yeah. Yeah. Asher.
Okay, so say that those 2 want to have children. How are they gonna know whose children is who?
They can't.
They can't.
Oh yeah. So these are the conjoined twins. So they have separate necks, but they share. What I understand is that she controls this half of the body, and she controls this half of the body.
That's right.
Are they still alive?
Yeah, they're still alive.
Okay.
I would never be able to get along with my siblings.
I know. Imagine that when you think you have it bad.
I got pee. No,
Yeah.
I don't.
Do identical twins have the same DNA? So,
Yes.
Yes.
so
Yes.
then, Interesting.
All right, so there are certain examples of sex-linked traits. So different traits that occur on occur on the sex cells. So does anyone know an example of a sex-linked trait?
No, I probably don't.
Okay, so colorblindness is a common sex-linked trait. Yeah.
What if two pairs of identical twins,
Okay.
have babies?
The babies would still look different because of the different gene combinations.
There's like a
Yeah.
movie on that or something. Or a
Yeah.
show. It was like these two twin brothers.
No,
Like
but
a
like-
twin girl.
And then they had kids. Yeah. The kids would probably look very similar.
Yeah, they all
But-
live together and they all look stare like they look
Yeah. But because of all the possible gene combinations, they don't look like the exact same. Yeah.
What happened if there was a boy?
All right, quiet down.
What happened if there was a boy and a girl stuck together?
Guys,
I can't hear Landon.
What if there was like a boy and a girl and they were Siamese twins? What happened?
Oh, not possible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So because Siamese twins or conjoined twins can only happen if it's an identical twin.
Got it.
Yes, because fraternal twins are two separate gametes. There were two separate gametes that created them. All right, so an example of a sex-linked trait is colorblindness. Yes. So certain people, it occurs more in males, and I can explain this tomorrow when we have more time. But certain males, well, and it does happen in females, but it's more common in males. They will, for example, they could be red-green colorblind. So red would look brown.